ॐ सहनाववतु सहनौ भुनक्तु सह वीर्यं करवावहै तेजस्विनावधीतमस्तु मा विद्विषावहै। ॐ शान्तिः शान्तिः शान्तिः. We'll continue our discussion with kaTHa Upanishad. We were at third shloka of second vallI of first adHyAya. So now we are talking about the third boon given by Yama to Nachiketa. The shloka is, I think it was not fourth, but we were at 14th. It says, Anyatra dhamardanyatra dharmadanyatra smak kruta krutat anyatra bhutacha bhavyacha yattat pashyati tadvad. So literal meaning is, Nachiketa said, that which you see as other than righteousness or non-righteousness, other than cause and effect, other than the past and the future, please tell me that. So Yama, he was explaining him what is beyond death and what is the knowledge that is eternal, what is the knowledge of Brahman. And in that they were talking about, uh, this is seen by ancients, this is talked about by ancients. Again, some of the things that Yama was saying, that this is infinite reward of whatever we ask for. Whatever the rest of the things we ask for as boon, they are short lived. Materialistic or even spiritualistic, those things are short lived. When we say spirituality takes us to eternity or immortality, but that journey is that immortality or eternity is the goal. But while walking on the path of spirituality, whatever we get, some siddhis or some experiences or certain well-beings happening around us, mental, physical health and well-being, again those are all short-lived. They may be they may last longer than the materialistic gains, but again they are not eternal. What is eternity or more immortality is something that that needs to be the end goal, and Yama is explaining that, but Nachiketa had some doubts. So the doubts were, so righteousness or non-righteousness. These are the two categories of our deeds. These are the two categories of our acts that we usually divide. That something is good or bad. But what is beyond bad and good? That's what Nachiketa wanted to understand. Other than cause and effect, we always say that, oh, karma, if you do something or if you don't do willingly, whatever karmas you do, they are binding you, whether they are bad or good. And it's like a cause and effect. So beyond cause and effect, what is above all these? That's what Nachiketa wanted to know. And the next shloka, Sarve Veda Yat Pada Mamananti Tapansi Savarni Cha Yad Vadanti Yadichanto Brahmacharya Charinta Tatte Padam Sangrahena Bravi Myo Mityetat. So Yama said, the state which all Vedas speak of, the state which all austerities are geared towards, the state seeking which the vow of celibacy is practiced. I will tell you about that state in brief. It is the state of Om. Now, Yama is, it's like Purva Bhumika. He is building the narrative because, as we have discussed in past, Brahma cannot be said or discussed, because whatever words we use, whatever metaphors we use, they are inadequate. But to strengthen our belief that whatever we are talking about, whatever we are trying to achieve, is really the Brahman or the knowledge or experience of Brahman. So for that, Yama is giving some references. He is giving references of scriptures and people who beforehand did that. So he mentions about Vedas. If you read Vedas, Vedas talk about Aishwarya, Ashwa, Godhana, and many other uh, things that can be related to our materialistic world, like enemies, Shatru, and Shatru Nash. We want to destroy our enemies, we want to get rid of them. And even the gods of Vedas, Indra, Yama, Aditya, Rudra, Ashwini Kumar, Varuna, Mitra, Vishnu. So who are these gods of Vedas? They are one in the same, and that is mentioned in Bruhadaranyaka Upanishad. That who are these gods? 33 categories, 33 koti. And from 33, actually they start with 3300. Then from that, they come down to 33 gods. Then two gods, then one and a half gods, then one. So these are different perceptions. People have gone through, uh, as I said, it's a journey. And in the journey, when we start, it's like a kg. We start with alphabets. So we can describe everything, even this book. Say some child, if it learns alphabets, and if we give him or her a book, English novel, then what he is going to read? A, B, C, D. Say the first sentence is, this is the book. So he'll start with THIS. He cannot understand that the first word is this. He can only understand alphabets. So that's stage KG. Then we go through elementary, and then we start understanding certain words. These, as a word, a child can understand. Then again, it goes beyond various understanding and perceptions as the child uh, goes further and further in his education. So spirituality is also like that. It's a journey. So all these gods, first hand, we say, oh, it's about nature and elements of the nature. Then we slowly start understanding what is nature. And I think we briefly talked about one example, that when we see an object, we see as an object, say gold. So gold, uh, it's a jewelry. Let's say there is a jewelry. It's made up of gold. So we see it as jewelry. When we go further, we analyze. It's gold plus copper or whatever. Then we go beyond that. That gold is made up of 97 atoms in that molecule versus copper, I think 16, 17, don't know exactly. But those many atoms. Then we go beyond and talk about what is atom. Then we realize, oh, it is there is a nucleus and electrons move around the nucleus. Then we go beyond that. Then we understand, oh, there is proton, neutron, electron. Then we go beyond that. Then we understand, oh, they are made up of quarks. Then we go beyond that and understand, oh, what is quark? It is just energy field. So this way we develop our understanding. This way we develop our experiences on that journey. So similarly, all these gods that Vedas speak about, they are one in the same and they are Brahma. So if we take our perspective or reference to that level, then we can understand what Yama is saying here. So he says Vedas speak about that. All the austerities, all the rishis, whatever they did, and whenever they described their experience, that is again the experience of the one Brahman. And the state of, actually, here the original word is brahmacharya, and literal meaning is celibacy in the modern terms. But that's not the case. If we look at uh, Devi Bhagavad, it is clearly mentioned what is brahmacharya, because Devi Bhagwat is about adHyAya, and they talk about Navratra Mahatmya and how to celebrate the festival of Navratra, what penance or what sadhana needs to be done. So it is described in that. And per that, what is brahmacharya? Brahmacharya is uh, wake up at this time, sleep on the floor with this much bed sheet or pusha grass in old times, then eating this much during daytime, and what to eat, and then how to do sadhana. So all these are part of brahmacharya. But we boil down to just one thing in modern terms. So brahmacharya is uh, something we do to attain Brahma. This the goal is Brahma. So to reach that state, to reach or understand that state, whatever we do, prescribed by many rishis, sages, saints, and scriptures. So whatever we do, that is brahmacharya. And I will tell you about that state in brief. It is the state of Om. Now, why Om is mentioned as the state of Brahman? Because many times, especially Atharvashira Upanishad, Narada Parivrajaka Upanishad, I think multiple of those Upanishads, they describe the origin of universe, origin of this materialistic world. And it all started with, actually they have two different forms. One says Shiva or Mahadev, Rudra. One says Hari, Vishnu. And when God in that form thought of creating, uh, he uttered first word, sound of Om. So our existence, all the materialistic object and life forms, they all are attributed to that sound Om. And that's why if we understand state of Om, what is Om? That is equivalent to understanding Brahman. And even modern science, you might have read or can come across many such articles that people have done experiments with Om, and they concluded that in the audible frequency range, which is 20 hertz to 20,000 hertz, so in that audible range, when we speak or there are certain instruments, they have different frequency bandwidth. Say dholak, it is 400 hertz or in that range, versus flute, which is 8,000 hertz or something. They have different bands. But when Omkar is uttered repetitively, it covers the whole audible range from 20 hertz to 20,000 hertz. So you can consider that as a background noise or white noise in the scientific term. That means it covers the whole frequency band. And not only that, if we look at the microwave background of the universe, that is due to the minimum temperature. I think it's 2.7 degree Kelvin, so minus 271 degree Celsius or something. So because of that, there is subtle vibration throughout the universe, which is called cosmic microwave background. And if we try to listen, we cannot listen, but if we change the frequency of microwave background, we'll see nothing, then slowly it increases, goes back. So it's a sinusoidal wave, and when we try to make it audible, it becomes Om, because Omkar is nothing but sinusoidal wave. So no sound, then starts slowly with a, U, which is the pinnacle, and Ma, it subsides. So it kind of resembles uh, the Omkar repetition in the microwave background. And many people have written enormous stuff about it. And our Shastras clearly says that it is the state of Om, which is equivalent to Brahman, Brahma. Next is etadhye vaksharam brahma, etadhye vaksharam param, etadhye vaksharam jnatva yo yadichati tasya tat. This word is indeed Brahma. This word is indeed supreme. He who realizes this word indeed obtains whatever he wishes. Now, what else to know? If we know Omkar, it's done. One caveat, say many people do meditation, dhyana, right? And with words, they do japa, guru mantra, or anything else. Even if you are not initiated in any guru parampara, you take Omkar, start repeating, and do dhyana. Multiple Upanishads talk about it. So use it as an arrow to pierce Brahma, and you will realize. But the caveat is, once you start that journey, you will no longer be attached to materialistic world. You will not like anything materialistic. So be ready for that transition or that change in you if you are on that path. But if you really want to achieve anything without Guru Parampara, then Omkar, Dhyan, one can do. And this is what Yama is also saying here. This word indeed is Brahma, and it is the Supreme. And one who realizes this, the fact, then whatever he wishes, meaning uh, once we realize that Omkar is everywhere and understand that in our dhyan, realize that, get the experience, then for us, that whatever he wishes, meaning whatever we wish, it's not like I want 1,000 BMWs or 1,000 gold ornaments or something. Whatever we wishes is, we want to achieve that state of Brahma. We want to reach uh, that ultimate, and that's why it is said uh, that by following this, uh, when we reach the state of Brahma, is the ultimate thing. So, but we have to be ready. We have to be prepared to to understand whatever changes or behavior changes that come into our mind in our lives, because we are all uh, we live in this world, right? We have family and we do other activities. So once we start this journey, we will be detached from all of that. So if we want to embrace this now or later in life, it's our choice. uh, the the method is described in uh, I forgot the name, but I think it's mostly Yoga Kundali Upanishad. But I'll get that for you. Uh, but it is as simple as start repeating Omkar, right? It's the same thing. It's the same thing. Once you start repeating, it becomes the same. Actually, very interestingly, there is a place in Ahmedabad. Uh, I visited that back in 2017. It is not well known, but somehow I knew about that place. I reached there uh, with my friends, and there is a Dhyana Khand, a special Dhyana Khand, which was like a half sphere shape. We sat there, and as soon as I started uttering a oo, somehow that acoustic of that khand was such that it completed the rest. So I started with a oo, and oo and ma that were completed by that khand. So it is said that that place, when you start chanting repetitive japa of Omkar, you'll go into the state of dhyana, deep dhyana and samadhi. So whatever way you do, om or aum, it's up to you. But usually it is said that akar is around your navel area, ukar is around your rib cage center, and ma is below your lips, that region. because is when you say something, try to speak something or try to create sound with your mouth wide, it becomes a. When you close it little bit, it becomes oo, and when you stop it and still try to create a noise or sound, that becomes ma. So it's one and the same. It's up to you. But the key is once you are in that journey, be ready to embrace the changes that you will feel or experience in your life, because you will be detached from materialistic world. You will no longer like, oh, I don't want to have all this. So next shloka. एतदालम्बनं श्रेष्ठमेतदालम्बनं परम् एतदालम्बनं ज्ञात्वा ब्रह्मलोके महीयते. This is the best support. This is the highest support. He who knows this support is worshipped in the world of Brahman. Meaning again, this is to strengthen Nachiketa's belief that if you follow the path of Omkar, that japa and dhyana, you'll reach that state. Be assured. And this is supported by the whole ecosystem. Vedas, Upanishads, Guru Parampara, other rishis who have gone through the experiences. So, and me, Yama. So, you are blessed. न जायते म्रियते वा विपिश्चन्ना यं कुतश्चिन्न बभूव किश्चित् अजो नित्यः शाश्वतो अयं पुराणो न हन्यते हन्यमाने शरीरे. It is never born and it never dies. It does not spring from anything and nothing springs from it. It is never born. It is eternal, everlasting, ancient, and it is never slain even when the body is slain. So now there is slight transition. We talked about Omkar or Brahma so far, and all of a sudden Yama is talking about Atma. Atma, why? Because it talks about body. That if body is gone, there is something remained, which is not born out of anything and which does not create anything. Again, Bhagavad Gita, you can relate very much. So that means Brahma, which is Paramatma, Omkar, and Atma, they are one in the same. If you know one, you know the rest. So whatever path we take, it's up to us. हंता चेन मन्यते हंतुम हतश्चेन मन्यते हतम उभौ तौ न विजानीतो नायम हंति न हन्यते. If the slayer thinks I slay, if the slain think I am slain, then both of them do not know it well. It neither slays nor is slain. Again, Bhagavad Gita, uh, this Atma cannot be killed, and whoever is killing is really not killing, it's just the body. So go beyond the body. Again, in the words of Yama. So we can say that Bhagavad Gita is kind of summary of all these Upanishads and Vedas. It is rightly said. Exactly. Yes, yes. And this is also one of the famous shloka. अणोरणीयान महतो महीयान आत्मा अस्य जंतो निर्हितो गुहायाम तमा क्रतुः पश्यति वीतशोको धातु प्रसादान महिमान मात्मनः. Smaller than the smallest, greater than the greatest. The Atma self is seated deep within each living being. He who beholds the majesty of the self becomes free from desire, without sorrow, with all eternal elements rendered calm. So again, the characteristics of Atma. It is smaller than the smallest and greater than the greatest. Now, how is it possible? Smaller than the smallest and greater than the greatest. So it is said, it is like a circle. Circle has two definite properties, a center and its uh, perimeter. So imagine that this is the center, this is the circle which has center within our body, but it does not have perimeter. So it is smaller than the smallest, but at the same time greater than the greatest, because it does not have perimeter, but it has center. Center is within our body, our guhya. Guhya meaning our, which is the spiritual heart, we call it, where the rib cages meet that center. And in modern terms, it's a thymus gland. And thymus gland, when children are, I think, up to 5 years of age, that thymus gland is operative. After that, it stops. And that's why we say that children are uh, Bhagwan ka roop. They are like forms of God, because up to age 5, that thymus is active. That means their connection, that Atma to Paramatma, that connection is active. That's what I consider. True or not, we have to experience and find and experiment. But this is what I believe. Once we grow beyond 5 years of age, that thymus is deactivated. That means we lose that connection. We are in this world and we are attached to all the Maya. We are no longer knowledgeable about ourself, our Atma. But once we go back to that, doing sadhana, dhyanas, and all that, Ashtanga Yoga, we again activate thymus, and meaning our self, our Atma. We come right that experience. And after that, uh, nothing is painful or joyful. Everything is there. And once we know that everyone else, there are as many objects in this world, there are those many centers of this circle, but there is no perimeter, meaning they are one. If there is no perimeter of the circle within me versus circle within you, then we are the same. Only thing is we have two different centers, and even those centers will be dissolved once that Maya, that delusion, is removed. And the key is Atma Sakshatkar, or know the state of Omkar, or grace of the Rishis, Gurus. And again, uh, Omkar is very much stressed here, because there is no Guru Parampara mentioned here. It is, I mean, some people may get it, some people may not get it, but everybody have access to Omkar. It is well known. Anybody can chant, anybody can do repetitive japa of Omkar. There is no harm in that at all. Say, if you follow certain mantras, then they talk about, oh, your pronunciation must be accurate. But what is there in Omkar to pronounce? It is just natural sound. So there is no harm in repeating that. So that path can be taken by anyone. And it will get us to this state. But that state is the first step. I think we talked about that last discussion. That when we do Atma Sakshatkar, that is very first step in our spiritual journey. If we stop there, then it is possible that we may go to the path of Jad Bharat. We may be entangled or attached in the Maya and can lose the focus or path. So that is very first step. But it is the greatest in all of our achievements in the life. So if we achieve at least knowledge of Atma or enlightenment, that will take us to a different path. And Krishna says in Gita that if you reach your goal, you are blessed. But if you do not reach, what happens to you? Don't be afraid. You are still blessed. You will be born as a knowledgeable yogi in a family who would support you, or you will be born as a very rich person. So either way, you are still blessed. and you will continue your journey depending upon what next birth you get. So we shouldn't be afraid and just embrace this path. Next is Asino Duram Vrajati Shayano Yati Savartah Kastam Mada Madan Devam Madanyojnatu Maharti. Sitting, he goes far. Sleeping, he goes everywhere. Who else other than myself is worthy of knowing the Lord who rejoices and rejoices not? Now, this is kind of cryptic words here. What Yama is saying, sitting, he goes far. But sleeping, he goes everywhere. So, sitting does not mean in the physical sitting state versus Shayana. Shayana is not sleeping in the physical sense. So, sitting is our Atma is called Purusha. Purusha does not mean male or female in that term. Purusha means our Atma. Puri hi Shayanat iti Purusha. So whoever is sleeping here is Purusha. Now that Atma is also said that it is sitting in the Guhya, the Hridaya Kamal. It is sitting there. So sitting meaning Atma is awake in or entangled as a jiva in this world. So while sitting, if we go in deep dhyan and encounter that state of Atma as a jiva, jiva is Atma plus Maya Avrana. So once we come across that state, we go far because Atma is sitting, it has still that sheath, that shield of Maya. But when we get to know Purusha, the one who is sleeping, who is Shayana, that is the ultimate thing. Then we are everywhere. Then we know everything. So, I mean, many a times the words are not what they really convey. We have to go beyond that. So, sitting versus sleeping. This is what they say. And sleeping, he goes everywhere. So that's what I said. That we call Atma versus Jeev, right? Those two words. Usually we consider them the same, but they are not. When Atma or Purusha, which is covered with Maya Avran, meaning it has attachment to this world, that is called Jiva. Now that Jiva is said to be sitting, this Hridaya Kamal, the lotus, it could be sitting on any of the petals or in the center. That is what yogis say. There are 4 petals and in the center. So you could, Atma could be sitting anywhere when it is in Jiva form, when it is contained within Maya. And depending upon which petal it is sitting or in the center, it has different qualities. So when say, I mean, if you look around us, some people like food, they are foodie. Some people like clothes, ornaments. Some people like nothing. I mean, they are away from all this. Some people like money. I want to earn a lot of money. So these are different priorities. And those priorities, it is said that it depends upon where your Atma is sitting, which petal it is sitting. It is clearly mentioned. I don't remember it exactly, but let's say eastward, if Atma is sitting there, you'll like food. If it is westward, you'll like ornaments and clothes and all. If it is sitting in center, you'll be away from all that. So depending upon which state it is. Now when you encounter that in your dhyana, in your samadhi, uh, you'll go far, meaning you'll understand what is happening around you and why it is happening, why you are like that, or why somebody else is like that. But when you encounter its original form, which is Purusha, which is beyond that avran of Maya, then you know everything in this universe because it is the same as meeting Paramatma or be one with Brahma. So when you do that, you'll know everything. So again, Atma Sakshatkar is just the first step. There are many things that come afterwards. So we must not stop. Uttishtat praptat jagrat prapya varani bodhat. But that goal could be different. We have a torch, right? We can see something 5 meters further. So with the torch, we reach there. But that's not the ultimate journey or goal of that journey. With the torch, we again want to go 5 meters further, and slowly we reach to our destination. So that's what the spirituality is. And it is kind of said in some cryptic words. But again, this is all experiential. Unless we experience what it is, what that state is, we cannot really know. Because all these words are like cover. What is beyond that cover, we have to experience. Next is ashariram sharireshva navastheshva visthatam mahantam vibhumatmanam matva dhiro na shochati. Knowing the self as the bodiless one within bodies, the firm and steady element within instability, the great and all pervading one, the wise never grieve. Uh, Again, the characteristics of Atma, that is bodiless within the bodies, and which is steady and firm. In Akshara Brahma Yoga, Bhagavad Gita, Krishna is talking about that. Right? There are two types of uh, objects in this universe, Kshara and Akshara. One who are perishable, others who cannot perish. But Paramatma is beyond Akshara and Kshara, is Purushottama. That's what is said in Akshara Brahma Yoga and Purushottama Yoga. So something similar. It is said here that Atma is bodiless, but it is steady and eternal, meaning it is Akshara. There is one more word, Kutastha. So all these words describe the characteristics of Atma. That Atma is eternal, it cannot be destroyed or it cannot be perishable. But it pervades everything, like circle, centers in everything. All of us, even inanimate objects, but there is no perimeter. It's like Sutre Mani Ganaiva. Even those words are used by Krishna. That everything is kind of like a necklace, a garland, and that thread is me, and those things, flowers or money, those stones are kind of attached through that sutra. So everything is pervaded by that Atma. So wise never grieve. So whatever happens around you, be happy, be in steady state, because everything that is happening is all Maya, the actions and interactions of Maya. So be free from that. If you can do that, you'll know why it is happening. You'll be beyond cause and effect. If you are entangled in that, you'll have effect. You'll create new effects. But once you are detached from that, you'll understand what is happening around you. So there is one simple sadhana. It is simple in the words, if you can practice. Whenever you become aware with your mind, then try to detach yourself from this body. See yourself beyond body. See yourself beyond mind. It is hard to do, but once you start doing abhyas practice, it will come into experience. Once you detach yourself from the body, it is easy to do. Then you will understand what is mind. Once you start detaching from the mind, you will see what is beyond mind. Now, that second part is very hard to achieve, but eventually you will achieve it if you practice. Whenever you become aware, detach from body, detach from mind, go beyond that. And that, then the wise never grieves. Meaning, if something bad is happening around you, That means your mind is acting. Once you detach yourself from the mind, you can see, oh, what is happening, and you will be free from it. नायम आत्मा प्रवचेन लभ्यो न मेधयान बहुना श्रुतेन यमे वैष वृणुतेतेन लभ्यः तस्यैष आत्मा विवृणुतेत नुन स्वाम. The self can be attained neither through sermons, nor by intelligence, nor by listening a lot to the Vedas. He whom the self chooses, by him the self can be gained. To him the self reveals its subtle nature. Again, surrender. Because this experience to know Atma Sakshatkar, cannot be achieved by listening anything, cannot be achieved by reading Vedas, cannot be achieved by listening any Updesh. There are many kathakar and many sadhu sant, right, around all of us today. And YouTube is filled with all these channels. But listening them will not take us to that experience. Yama says, when Atma chooses you, you'll get that experience. Now, that means, what should we do? And the answer is in previous shlokas. That you practice. Nachiketa did, he encountered Yama, meaning the first component of Ashtanga Yoga. He did that. And he came to that experience. So our job is to do all this. Do our karma, kartavya karma. Even Krishna says that. Do all the karmas and offer all the karmas to me. Or do all the karmas as if you are doing on behalf of me. Surrender. Everything surrender. So then God himself or herself will choose whether you should get that experience or not. And Yama is saying the same thing. Na virato duscharitanna shanto nasamahitah nashanta manaso vapi prajnanenenam apnayuat. But who has not turned away from bad conduct, whose senses are not pacified, whose mind is not peaceful, cannot realize the self through knowledge. Again, indirectly it is said, you must practice Ashtanga Yoga. One who does not have good conduct, one who does not have all the senses, meaning indriyas, pacified, who are still indulgent into all the organs and senses, one whose mind is not peaceful. So he cannot or she cannot realize. That means if we follow Ashtanga Yoga, so the self, the Atma will choose us and get that experience. Until then, keep doing. यस्य ब्रह्म च क्षत्रं च उभे भवत ओदनः मृत्युर्यस्य सेचनंक इत्था वेद यत्र सः. The self to whom the Brahman and Kshatriya classes are both as plain as cooked rice. The death is nothing more than water. How can one know that self? Okay. Here, in those terms, those days, Brahman and Kshatriya, they were considered the elite class, right? And then Vaishya and Shudra and Chandala to some extent. So for Atma, Brahmana and Kshatriya, they are like cooked rice. That means they are nothing. You consider, you take pride in being Brahman or Kshatriya, it's not going to help you. You are just a cooked rice for Atma. Meaning, for Atma, it does not stand any ground. It is not a qualification at all. Only qualification is follow Ashtanga Yoga, do penance, surrender yourself. Then only you will self-realize. That means it is not the sole proprietary of Brahman and Kshatriya, so-called elite class. It can be realized by anyone. That's what Yama is saying, basically. And death is nothing more than water. meaning water is everywhere, right? It's very easily reachable, it's very easily gained by someone. There is no charges. I mean, nowadays, if you want to buy water in bottle, then you have to pay. But I mean, water is everywhere. You can get it very easily without paying anything. So death is just like that. Death is, we create this fear and then create so much hocus pocus around it. But it's nothing like, it's nothing more than water. So don't be afraid. And it is very fluid thing. In other words, death is a fluid, meaning uh, it's just a state. It is a state. Once you realize your Atma, for you, death does not mean anything. So then you realize what is death. इति कठकोपनिषद प्रथम अध्याये द्वितीया वल्ली. So this is second vallI of first adhyaya. I think we have 5 minutes or so. Maybe we can discuss something, or we can end here.
You mentioned about the 3300 where it becomes 33,
Right.
1.5 and 1
Right.
for the gods.
Right.
But previously we had also discussed that there is Agni,
Right.
there is vallI
Right.
as distinct gods,
Right.
but they are just another form of existence of Brahma,
Right. Right. So it is like
us. Like we are also
like us, or even if we take an example of ornaments. So there is gold. From gold, we can create any number of different ornaments. So all those ornaments, we say it's a ring or it's a necklace? Yes, but if we say it is gold, it is true also, right? So in that sense, ring and necklace are different forms, but ultimately they are gold. So when we say 3300 gods versus 33 gods or 1.5 or 1, it's one in the same. It's the understanding how we gain our knowledge and experience to reach that ultimate state. Like I also gave example about a child in kindergarten. If that child looks at a novel, what is he going to read? Just alphabets. He or she cannot read words. Once he starts understanding words, he'll read words, but it does not mean anything. He or she will not understand sentence. Once the sentence comes into knowledge, then the paragraph and then the book. So it's the various degrees of understanding and knowledge.
yes, but these Agni and other gods are not just creations for us to understand easier. It's not that. They are truly there.
Yes, they are. I mean, it's a materialistic world, right? It's a physical world. In physical world, everything is expressed in physical world also. So what is Agni? If we are, if we look at all the things around us, solid, liquid, gaseous, right? These are three things that we can understand or relate. And fire, flame is plasma, which is beyond all these three states. So it's a state, but that state is beyond something we experience day to day, every second in things around us. Agni is little subtle, subtler than solid, liquid, or gaseous. That means uh, the Rishis considered Agni as a gateway to a different world. A gateway, it's like a stages. You are in KG, you understand only solid, liquid, and gas. You go to different division, elementary school. Now you understand plasma. Once you are in middle school, you will understand what is beyond Agni, what is subtler than even Agni. Because Agni is made up of some objects, right? And that object could be oxygen, nitrogen, hydrogen, helium, whatever. But what is beyond that? It is just the state. So you start understanding that in even deeper. So they kind of are expressed to us in this physical world as representation of Brahma. All of our life, what we eat, where we walk, what we breathe in, everything is solid, liquid, or gaseous. But for us, Agni is something beyond this, and that's why it is representative of Brahma. Even gas, air, right? Air we breathe in, breathe out, but we cannot experience beyond that. So it is representative of Brahma, which is not visible, but it's still there. It gives us some experience. So these are again very physical in nature, but they are representative of something subtler.
So we have given those phenomena,
Right. Or state.
or state,
Right.
those names.
Right.
But when we say, when we pray to Agni, when we
Right.
pray to God,
Right.
is it something that we are just easier to visualize, so we are praying to that rather than
Yes.
trying to do Nirakar,
Right.
puja? Or is it like when we pray to Agni, there is actually Agni that blesses us?
See, we can pray to. Yes.
All are part of those three things.
Right.
Yes.
They are not separate, right? So yes, they are. I mean, they are.
But also ultimately it's all one God.
Correct. The form of that.
Or the ultimate truth,
Right.
would it be that
See,
there is no Agni, there is no Vayu, it is just.
if there is a child studying elementary school, if I tell him or her, okay, let's try to understand this great novel, Odyssey, will he understand? No. So I'll have to take some stories out of it and tell that child, okay, this is the story and this is how it is narrated. Once he creates that understanding, then only I can go beyond. So Agni is there. Agni is representative of Brahma because whatever we experience, Agni is beyond that. It is like a doorway to the next stage. So it is truly blessing us. Even we take laddu or we take stone, right? We pray to stones. Those stones are carved and some prana pratishtha, some ritual is done. And then we pray. Will it give us that experience? Yes. But we are not ready to receive that yet. That Brahma can be expressed in anything, even the chair, even in this phone, even in this stand. But are we ready to grasp that? No. If we are ready, then we'll understand that the centers are everywhere, but there is no parameter. So again, the easiest thing to do is go beyond that, do some extra things, stage 2 stuff. Don't be only in stage 1. So Agni is providing us that opportunity. Okay, start going into stage 2. Then only you will understand that stage 1 is also Brahma. So again, this is like experience. Once we go into that experience, yes.
And also the one thing you mentioned that when we see a form that for us as human, I think for me at least, it is simplified to think about it that okay, I'm thinking about God, I'm thinking about something which is much beyond than us. And when let's say I'm looking at the Jesus statue, I'm thinking about okay, that's
Right.
that's my mind work that okay, I can now focus to think about God, to think about God.
Yes.
So
Preparing us for stage 2. So we can end here. I think it will go to next class. What is, yeah. Om Purnamada Purnamidam Purnat Purnamudachyate Purnasya Purnamadaya Purnameva Vashishyate. Om Shanti Shanti Shanti.